I'm a top-tier celebrity. On my daughter's 7th birthday, my husband, Beckett, spent $1 billion to buy a time machine. He said he regretted everything. He wanted to travel back 8 years and save his first love from the flood, instead of saving me, his newlywed wife who was pregnant at the time. So, on that special day, I watched helplessly as the daughter I had cherished for 7 years disappeared from time because of the changes he made in the past. And to celebrate his first love's return to life, he filled the entire city with fireworks. The next time I opened my eyes, I found myself back 8 years in the past, at the moment the flood was about to hit. This time, I kicked Beckett into the water without a second thought. I stood there, calmly watching as he and his first love swam together in the flood, putting on a grand show of love, just like Titanic. Eliza. I jolted awake as if from a nightmare, sitting up abruptly. With trembling hands, I touched my stomach. Everything around me was so familiar. I had actually come back to the night before the flood hit, 8 years ago. My daughter Eliza was taken away on her 7th birthday by my husband, Beckett, who traded her for $1 billion time machine. He said, "Claire, I'm willing to give up everything to buy this time machine. As long as I can go back in time, I want to bring Luna back. She's my one true love." And just like that, Eliza disappeared before my eyes. No matter how hard I searched, I couldn't find her. No one in the world even remembered her. All they remembered was the powerful CEO Beckett spoiling his wife, spending millions to fill the skies with fireworks, just to make the top star Luna smile. 7 days and nights of fireworks lit up the sky. I couldn't find my daughter, nor could I take my revenge. I died under those dazzling fireworks, full of hatred. Now, I'm back on the eve of the flood. My assistant complained, somewhat resentfully, "Miss Claire, you fainted because of the pregnancy, and yet Mr. Beckett is still in that woman's tent, not even coming to check on you." I shook my head, unable to hold back my tears, feeling a surge of intense emotion. "I've really come back? That's great. Eliza, this time, Mom will protect you." The rain outside was pouring down in torrents. I immediately grabbed my assistant's hand. "Notify the villagers right now. Tell everyone to evacuate to higher ground, the flood is coming, and by tomorrow morning, this place will be submerged." 8 years ago, the flood killed thousands of people. Now that I'm back, I'll do everything I can to save as many lives as possible. As my assistant was about to leave, I quickly called her back. "Wait. Don't disturb Beckett and Luna. Get everyone to the boat first." Beckett. In my previous life, he was full of regret for saving me, his pregnant newlywed wife, from the flood. So, he spent $1 billion to buy the time machine, ignoring Eliza's death. He traveled back to 8 years ago and chose a different person to save. This time, I'll see how he plans to escape. This was the first year of my marriage to Beckett, and also the year I was at the peak of my fame. I was filming in a remote area. Beckett used the excuse of visiting me to secretly have an affair with the minor actress Luna. As I rushed to inform the villagers about the evacuation, I happened to pass by Luna's tent and overheard Beckett's low, husky laughter. He was always cold and distant when he was with me. Every time Eliza tried to win his favor, he rejected her harshly. She was such a good girl, always saying, "It's my fault, Eliza made Daddy angry." But in the end, this considerate child was erased from the world by Beckett, and no one remembered her. He regretted not saving Luna and used the time machine to go back and change the outcome, making my daughter Eliza disappear from this world. How could I not hate him? How could I not resent him? Even those around me couldn't stand it. "Claire, Mr. Beckett is really," the director hesitated, giving me a sympathetic look. I swallowed my hatred and forced a smile. "Young people like to have fun, it's normal." I had more important things to do. Soon, Beckett wouldn't be smiling anymore. I told the director, "Director, if you trust me, get everyone on the boat now." I had worked with director Jasper many times, and he trusted me. He quietly started moving people out. The rain was loud, drumming on the tent. Beckett and Luna were inside, watching Titanic together. It made sense they couldn't hear the chaos outside. This time, I won't be foolish enough to quit my career for love. I will protect Eliza, and I will hold on to the glory I've achieved. We worked through the night, and most of the villagers were evacuated to the boat. The boat, a prop for the filming, was real and fortunately rented by the director. Without it, everyone here would be in grave danger. At dawn, I glanced again at Luna's tent before leaving. They hadn't left the tent all night. I couldn't wait to see their reaction when they came out to find an empty camp and raging floodwaters. My assistant reminded me, "Claire, Mr. Beckett is still in Luna's tent. Should we go get them?" The water was already waist deep, and the flood was about to fully break. I looked at my assistant and said, "You go ahead. I'll call them." At the critical moment, my assistant didn't dare linger. I made my way to their tent under the pretense of calling them. With a quick motion, I lifted a corner of the tent, letting the floodwater rush in. "Beckett, Luna, you should thank me. Opportunities for shared hardships like this don't come easily." When I got to the boat, all the seats were taken. "Claire, hurry. The last seat is yours." Yes, the last seat was meant for me. In my previous life, if I hadn't waited for Beckett, would he have saved me? As I boarded the boat, I saw Beckett and Luna rushing toward us from afar. At the brink of life and death, there was no room for them on this boat. The storm raged on. The floodwaters, filled with mud and debris, surged through the remote area. Beckett and Luna floated in the water, clinging to each other. "Claire, pull us up." I looked down at Beckett's handsome, refined face, now so disheveled. He had always been untouchable, proud, and aloof, but now he was nothing but a mess. Pathetic and pitiful, but not worthy of sympathy. I placed a hand on my stomach, controlling my rage as I calmly said, "But there's no room. How do you expect me to save you?" Luna, like a delicate, fragile flower, huddled in his arms. "Beckett, I'm so cold." "Luna, don't worry. Claire will definitely save us." Everyone was looking at my husband. Beckett, the esteemed president of his company, was gently comforting another woman in his arms. The rest were like ants on a hot pan, scrambling in panic. Finally, someone found the last life buoy. "Claire, here's a life buoy. You can use it to pull Mr. Beckett up." Yes. It was this same life buoy that once forced Beckett into a tough decision, one that he regretted for the rest of his life. And now, I was going to make him choose again. I tossed the life buoy back to Beckett without hesitation. Holding back the smile threatening to appear on my lips, I spoke with a hint of regret. "Unfortunately, it can only save one." The people on the boat shouted, "Mr. Beckett, hurry and use the life buoy. The flood will take your life." But that wasn't enough. To prepare for my upcoming divorce and widowhood, I gave my assistant a look, signaling them to take out their phone and open a live stream. The title read, "Real-Life Titanic Drama." We threw in 100,000 to boost the viewership, and in no time, the stream was trending. At that moment, Luna's eyes reddened, tears silently falling. "Beckett, I love you. I've always been willing to sacrifice everything for you. But recently, I've been feeling nauseous, probably from that night 2 months ago." Her words made Beckett's face turn pale. The livestream viewers went wild instantly. But Beckett hadn't noticed the livestream yet. Sure enough, he began to hesitate. "Oh, that won't do. Time to give him a little push." My assistant immediately chimed in. "Mr. Beckett, now everyone knows Luna was your first love in college. Could you really let her be swept away by the flood? She's so delicate, small, and pitiful. She's totally dependent on you. The netizens are all watching you, how could you not save her? You'd better think carefully. Don't make a choice you'll regret for the rest of your life." The water was rising higher and higher, crashing violently against the shore. "Beckett, the so-called pure-hearted hero. Since you love putting me in tough spots and using morality to guilt-trip me, let's see how you choose now when only one of you and Luna can survive." I was curious to see his decision. The live stream was blowing up, with people across the internet tuning in to watch the mighty Beckett and the innocent Luna face life and death together. Beckett's face darkened, his eyes flaring with anger. "Who told you to record this? Are you trying to get yourself killed?" Since the camera was pointed right at Beckett's face, he mistakenly thought my assistant was just recording a video. He probably still didn't realize this was a live broadcast. Things were getting more interesting. This time I was determined to expose Beckett's hypocrisy and let the whole world see him for what he truly was. Cold floodwaters soaked Luna's body, leaving her pale as a sheet, trembling all over. "Beckett, can you give me the life buoy? I don't want to die." Luna, frail and slender, clung to Beckett, barely managing to keep herself from being washed away. I couldn't help but smile a little. "Beckett, now that your own life's on the line, let's see how you handle this choice." As I expected, he couldn't make a decision quickly. Meanwhile, the live stream viewers had exceeded 1 million. Everyone was eagerly waiting to see Beckett fight for survival. This was more thrilling than any survival show. And in the midst of the rising tension, a cold and heartless voice broke through the chaos, echoing across the boat for everyone to hear. "I'll offer 1 million. If anyone jumps into the water to make room, the reward's theirs." Beckett, the businessman, was cool and calculated to the core. It was as if he was analyzing whose life to buy off, just like a deal at the negotiation table. 1 million. That amount was enough to make any ordinary person's eyes light up. To them, it was a fortune. My expression instantly turned cold. Damn, Beckett was trying to buy a life for a life. His arrogant gaze swept over the crowd. Even in the midst of a flood, he still held the commanding presence of someone born into privilege. 1 million. It'll last you a lifetime. He sneered, more than enough to buy your lives. The people on the boat's eyes lit up, but it also stirred public outrage. The live stream comments exploded with insults, calling Beckett heartless. Some of the villagers, especially those good at swimming, were already taking off their jackets, ready to jump in and exchange their lives for the money. I gave my assistant a light glance. The assistant immediately shouted, "Wait. Is your life really worth that little? You might make the money, but will you live to spend it? Besides, can you even trust his word without any proof? You're willing to risk your life before you've even seen a dime? You'll end up dead with nothing to show for it. Is that what you want?" Just then, a bolt of lightning flashed across the sky, followed by a deafening thunderclap. Everyone fell silent. The joy on Beckett's face disappeared in an instant. In a panic, he upped the offer. 5 million. 5 million for 2 spots. As long as someone jumps, the money will be in your account immediately. By this point, Beckett couldn't maintain his usual composure. There was a flicker of panic on his otherwise calm face. Even so, he held Luna tightly, his affection for her plain to see. Unfortunately for him, no one believed his words anymore. For many of the villagers, 1 million was already a mind-boggling amount. 5 million? That was beyond their wildest dreams. The bigger the offer, the less they trusted it. And the crew members knew Beckett too well. When it came down to life and death, who would actually risk their life for him? So, everyone just rubbed their noses, scratched their heads, and sat back down. "Mr. Beckett, no point wasting your breath. Money's no good if you're dead." "Exactly. With waves like this, who's jumping in?" Beckett's face grew paler, his expression darkening. And just at that critical moment, the life buoy in his hands was snatched away. Luna grabbed the life buoy without a second thought and put it on herself. Beckett's eyes widened, shock and then pain flashing across his face. He rasped out, "Luna, why are you doing this?" "Obviously, to survive." I struggled to suppress my grin, feeling a wave of satisfaction. "Beckett, being betrayed by your first love must feel terrible, doesn't it?" "Beckett, I'm sorry. I'm doing this for our child. I want to live." Luna's shoulders trembled as she spoke with deep emotion. "The fortune teller said I'll only give birth to boys in this lifetime, never girls. If I wasn't pregnant with our son, I'd rather die and give you the life buoy. But now, I'm carrying your child. There are 2 lives at stake here, Beckett, this is our son." Upon hearing this, Beckett was at a loss. He didn't want to die, but he'd always believed that his family had a throne to inherit, and he preferred sons. He'd never hidden his disappointment in Eliza being a daughter. So, he turned to threatening the crew, using his status as one of their investors to pressure them. But it didn't work. They valued their own lives too much. Finally cornered, Beckett's eyes turned dangerously toward me. Claire, you wouldn't just stand by and watch me die, would you? You'll save me, right? I shrugged, feigning regret. But I can't save you either. Beckett clenched his teeth, his gaze burning into mine. No. You can save me. His voice was full of certainty, sending a chill down my spine. I watched him coldly as he said, "You come down here and take my place." The entitlement in Beckett's tone was chilling. Did he really believe I loved him enough to die for him? I hadn't even begun to avenge what he did in our past life. Beckett, do you seriously think I would do that? Who gave you the confidence to believe I'd willingly die for you? Beckett's face suddenly changed. He stared at me in shock, his face expressionless, and said, "If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have come to see you and gotten into this mess. It's all tied to you. If something happens to me, you won't be off the hook either." I used to see Beckett through rose-colored glasses. He was my friend, my family, my lover, someone who had been by my side since childhood. But when the illusion fades, Beckett is just Beckett, a person without any aura. Really? Did I tell you to go visit Luna's tent? Everyone knows you're always staying out all night, having deep conversations about life with Luna. I ruthlessly exposed him. You should be blaming yourself, not me. I gave you a lifeline, and it's your fault you couldn't hold on to it. What could I possibly do? Take your so-called affection and go tell it to God in hell. The live stream audience was completely stunned. Seeing the comments fly by like crazy, I felt satisfied, a sense of ease washing over me. After failing to get my sympathy, Beckett shifted his attention to Luna. There was only one lifeline. Only one of them could survive. The floodwaters surged. The people on the boat refused to come down, and there was only one life jacket. Beckett's eyes, filled with conflict, swept over to Luna, and his fists clenched with unwillingness. Beckett. Luna's eyes filled with tears, panic written all over her face. She spoke in a voice full of helplessness. Beckett, I can feel our baby slipping away. He might not make it. Beckett, don't you want him to live? The child was the only thing that could stir Beckett's emotions. And yet, at that moment, he had no idea that I, too, was carrying his flesh and blood. But in this life, my daughter would be mine alone. She had nothing to do with him. As for whether Luna's so-called son was really Beckett's, that was anyone's guess. My assistant couldn't help but whisper in my ear. Claire, Luna isn't what she seems. Mr. Beckett doesn't stand a chance against her. I curled my lips in a knowing smile. Of course, I knew. Who doesn't know the gossip in our circles? Luna is famous for her love of men. As long as they're rich, handsome, or have a great body, she'll be with them. She floats between men, and they're all at her fingertips. Beckett is just one of many. The child was merely a tool Luna was using to survive at that moment. But maybe it was the strength of his first love filter. Beckett was utterly convinced that the child was his. And so, he decisively swam away. Watching his figure disappear into the distance, I squinted. Beckett, you better not die this time. I want to see whose child your innocent first love is really carrying. Most people survived the flood. When the water receded, a full-scale search was launched for Beckett, dead or alive. They had to find him. After a whole day of searching, they finally found him. He could swim, so he was barely clinging to life. After being rushed to the hospital, Beckett spent 3 days and nights in the ICU. And I never visited him once, fully focused on my acting. It wasn't until I heard that Beckett had miraculously survived that I remembered I needed to hurry and divorce him. When I reached his hospital room, I heard Luna's sobbing. Beckett, you're finally awake. You have no idea how worried I've been. I've been so scared these past few days. I didn't mean to take the life jacket. I did it all for our son. Beckett, you'll forgive me, won't you? I looked up and saw a tender expression on Beckett's sickly face. He held Luna's hands, softly comforting her. Luna, I've never blamed you. You're a mother. I understand your desire to protect our son. Beckett, you have no idea how awful Claire was. She even started a live stream that day. Both you and I were trashed by ignorant netizens. Beckett, pale and weak, suddenly sat up in shock, his voice hoarse. What? He rubbed his forehead, eyes full of disbelief. Claire dared to livestream? Has she lost her mind? Doesn't she know how much damage this could cause the company? I almost laughed out loud. Did Beckett not know his company's stock had already plummeted? I pushed open the door and glanced at the exhausted, sickly man. I'm not the crazy one. It's your company's PR department that should be panicking. After all, Beckett, your public image is beyond saving this time. During this period, Beckett's attempt to buy his way out of danger had been trending for days. His eyes turned cold with indifference. Claire, what good does this do for you? You deliberately let me and Luna drift in the flood, didn't you? At that moment, Beckett's mother suddenly burst through the door. Beckett, don't you think all of this is your fault? And this Luna girl? Beckett, you need to cut ties with her and apologize to Claire. Beckett's mother shot him a quick look, signaling him to back down to me. As if I didn't know. In my past life, Beckett and his mother loved putting on this act in front of me and Eliza, one playing the good cop, the other the bad, slowly eating away at my family's wealth. However, Beckett stubbornly held on to Luna's hand, his voice steady and firm. Mom, Luna is pregnant with my child. She's carrying the grandson you've always wanted. I'm going to give her a home. That sentence hit me hard. I wasn't angry, I just felt an overwhelming sadness for Eliza. In my past life, Eliza tried so hard to please the Beckett family, but they never gave her a second glance, because she was a girl. And Beckett never once thought about giving Eliza a harmonious, loving family or being a good father. I took out the divorce papers from my bag and placed them in front of him. Perfect. Then let's get divorced. Beckett's mother was instantly furious, her voice trembling as she said. Beckett, are you out of your mind? Did the flood damage your brain? You want to give her a home? What about Claire? Her eyes darted toward me, and she continued. Claire, don't worry. I'll handle this. I won't blame you for not saving him this time, but there's no need for a divorce, right? Beckett's eyes flickered with surprise as he looked at the divorce papers for a full half-second before he reacted. Fine, I agree to the divorce. Beckett's mother couldn't hold back anymore, shouting angrily. Beckett. Beckett and I had a business marriage, and we'd been married for less than a year. At the time, my father saw how much I liked Beckett and was willing to help his family's company through multiple crises. That's how their family's nearly bankrupt business got back on track. But once we divorced, my family would withdraw our shares and funds. Who knows what would happen to Beckett's company then? Despite his mother's furious scolding, Beckett remained expressionless as he signed the divorce papers. As I was about to leave, I heard him say firmly, what does it matter if the company no longer has Claire's family's support? My child needs me. Luna is the woman I truly want to marry. I'm willing to give up everything for her and our child. After the divorce, I focused even more on my acting. The movie was nearing its end, and Damien, an award-winning actor, came to make a guest appearance. During filming, he often flirted with Luna. Everyone on set knew something was going on between them, and some even caught Luna and Damien hugging and kissing. I pretended not to see anything. What did my ex-husband's affairs have to do with me? The only one still in the dark was Beckett, the so-called guardian of pure love. In my past life, it was only after we got married that I learned Luna had been Beckett's college sweetheart. I never understood why he fell in love with her at first sight but didn't tell me, then rushed into marriage with me after graduation. My fingers rested on my belly. In this life, my Eliza is alive and healthy. When she's born, I don't plan to tell Beckett. He doesn't deserve to be Eliza's father, not biologically or in name. One day, during a break on set, I saw Beckett step out of his car. He walked toward me with a smile, looking as if he was in a great mood. Today was the final day of filming, why was Beckett here? He purposely walked up to me and said, I'm going to propose to Luna. She's pregnant with my biological son, and she's due in a few months. I have to give her a proper status, I can't let my son be born out of wedlock. I couldn't help but burst into a chuckle. Everyone in the crew was there today, so I wished him good luck with his proposal. Luna is pure, innocent, gentle, and virtuous. She's a good girl. His cold, stern expression instantly softened. Whenever he mentioned Luna, his face radiated warmth. Then, he looked at me, and his demeanor suddenly changed. "Claire, you should work on your temper. No man will want you if you keep acting like this." The smile on my face froze. I stared at Beckett expressionlessly. Why should I care if a man wants me or not? If they're lucky enough to get close to me, isn't that their privilege? I raised an eyebrow and retorted, "And besides, do you really think the child Luna is carrying is yours?" Beckett's face changed at that. His expression instantly turned cold. "Claire, watch your words. That child is obviously mine." Since he was so certain, I figured I'd get the popcorn ready and watch the drama unfold. Beckett stormed off, visibly annoyed. He deliberately kept Luna hidden away. Ever since arriving on set and getting into the trailer, he hadn't shown his face again. The assistant handed me a video, looking like she had stumbled upon a huge secret. "Claire, I accidentally came across something." She whispered a few words into my ear. I raised my eyebrows and smiled at her. The final scene of the shoot dragged on until late at night. To celebrate, the director had bought a huge batch of fireworks, setting them off to mark the end. Under the shower of fireworks, Beckett slowly approached. He walked straight towards Luna, each step firm and determined. In the dazzling display, he knelt down on one knee and took out a ring worth millions to propose. "Luna, I used to not know how to win your heart and often upset you. But now, I've learned how to love. I want to give you a home, a real family for you and the baby." The crowd fell into stunned silence. Everyone knew about Luna's relationship with Damien, making it hard to bless such a messy love triangle. Luna stood there flustered, while Damien looked like a bystander enjoying the show. Every word Beckett spoke was filled with conviction. "Luna, will you marry me?" Luna remained silent, her gaze frequently drifting towards Damien. As the silence stretched, Beckett's expression grew increasingly anxious. Amid the tension, the large screen behind him suddenly lit up, the blinding light catching everyone's attention. The video began to play, and Luna's voice came through the speakers. "Damien, I'm pregnant with your child. You'll love me, won't you?" The crowd gasped in shock. Beckett's face, which had been filled with joy moments before, turned ice cold. He whipped around to see Luna and Damien embracing on the screen. At that moment, his expression completely crumbled. Unbelievable. He was devastated. In the video, Luna leaned against Damien's chest, looking completely dependent on him. The scene of their affection was like a slap in the face for Beckett. But the worst was yet to come. Damien chuckled mockingly, "Whose child are you really carrying?" "Of course it's yours. I'm 3 months pregnant. If it's not yours, whose else could it be?" Don't believe those videos online. When the floods hit, I had to lie to that idiot and say the baby was his. Otherwise, why would he have saved me? I almost laughed out loud. It was clear that in Beckett's world, only he was left hurting. Beckett's eyes turned bloodshot, and a deep sorrow welled up in them. "Luna. So all along, you've been lying to me. The child was never mine." Luna's eyes reddened, tears slowly rolling down her cheeks, making her look pitiful. "Beckett, I truly love you. I was only playing with them." What a joke. Who would believe her after hearing that? Now, Luna was desperately trying to win Beckett back, while the playboy Damien didn't seem to care at all. Beckett's proposal had failed miserably, and his humiliation spread like wildfire. It was soon exposed that during his marriage, he had cheated, and after finally getting divorced, he ended up being cheated on himself. Now, the entire internet was buzzing about Beckett's situation. His personal scandals directly affected his company's image. With the public outcry growing, the company's stock prices plummeted, and Beckett became the laughingstock of the internet. Once a scandal blows up, it's hard to calm the waters. In just a month, Beckett's company suffered unprecedented losses. I wanted to see how long he could last without my family's help. Without me. A month later, after finishing a shoot, I came home to find Beckett standing at my door. He looked at me, his voice trembling. "Claire, can you help me now?" It was obvious he hadn't been sleeping well, his face showing signs of exhaustion. I looked at him coldly and asked in a frosty tone, "Help you with what?" "The company's shares are plummeting, and if this continues, we'll face a more severe crisis soon." "Claire, only you can help me now." I smirked, mocking him. "Mr. Beckett, why not ask Luna for help? I'm sure she'd be happy to." He only thought of me when he had nowhere else to turn? But back when he was enjoying fame and fortune, he couldn't give enough of his heart to Luna. At the mention of Luna, Beckett's expression instantly darkened. He pressed his lips together, forcing down his impatience, and spoke calmly. "Claire, you know Luna can't help me. Only your family's business can. Even a merger between our companies would work, as long as you're willing." It seemed like his company was in dire straits. Otherwise, Beckett, the high and mighty, wouldn't have come to me saying such things. But I had no interest in taking over a crumbling company. "No, it's too dirty." His pupils contracted at my words, his handsome face showing clear anger. "What do you mean?" "Exactly what I said. It's not the company that's dirty. It's you. If I helped him now, I'd be stuck with him for life. Instead of that, I'd rather build my own empire. Besides, my family's business is thriving. Why should I take on a sinking ship?" From that day on, I never saw Beckett again. My career was soaring, and the baby, Eliza, was growing healthily. My belly had started to show. I didn't want the media to invade my private life, but I still got caught by paparazzi while out. News of my pregnancy quickly became a hot topic. Everyone online was speculating whether I'd remarry Beckett because of the baby. This news quickly reached Beckett's ears. We crossed paths at an event. He was going around trying to reconnect with old business partners, seeking investments. He had completely abandoned his pride. Even when rejected, he could now accept it gracefully. But this Beckett was nothing like the man he used to be, the one who held all the power and made everyone cater to him. Our eyes met. I turned to leave, but Beckett quickly caught up and blocked my way. "Claire. Claire, you're pregnant, aren't you? It's my child, right?" I squinted at him, calmly observing the hopeful look in his eyes. In my previous life, Beckett never cared about Eliza's birth. On the day I gave birth, Beckett was busy at a company meeting. The delivery wasn't easy. I almost bled out on the operating table. I barely survived and brought Eliza into the world. Afterward, as a husband and father, he completely ignored us. Seeing him like this now only made me feel he was being fake. "Claire, I know this is my child. Please, for the sake of the baby, forgive me this time." I let out a bitter laugh, the hatred inside me impossible to suppress. Unable to hold back any longer, I slapped Beckett across the face. The crisp sound of the slap drew everyone's attention. Beckett turned his face aside, his eyes cold and filled with anger. He lowered his voice. "Claire, am I wrong? The baby is mine. Can't you tolerate a little for the child's sake? I'll treat you well from now on." "Why should I tolerate anything, Beckett? Tell me, why should I?" I crossed my arms, a faint smile tugging at my lips, and said calmly, "I've got money and a career. After the baby is born, I can give her the best life. She'll be treated like a princess by everyone. Why would she need to beg for anything in front of you? You really think too highly of yourself. Once the baby is born, she'll have nothing to do with you. I can be both her mother and her father. She'll be happier without you than anyone else." Beckett, utterly humiliated, was speechless for a long moment. He clenched his fists, holding back his emotions. As I walked past him, I leaned in and whispered, "Oh, I almost forgot to tell you, she'll take my last name. When Eliza is born, she won't be the Bella from my past life anymore. She'll be my precious Eliza." Upon hearing this, Beckett's face twisted in discomfort. More so than if I had slapped him across the face. But I enjoyed seeing him like that. The more miserable, the more pathetic he looked, the more satisfying it was to me. Since my movie hit theaters, it became a nationwide sensation. My acting was praised, and positive reviews flooded in. But somehow, rumors spread that Beckett and I were getting back together, and soon the entire internet was abuzz with discussions about me. At a movie promotion event, a reporter asked again, "Will you be remarrying Mr. Beckett?" I faced the cameras and calmly replied, I've never considered remarrying. The child is the child, and I am me. And here, I want to tell all women out there, even if you're pregnant or have children, don't ever lose yourself. I said that for my own sake. I regretted giving up my career in the entertainment industry for love in my previous life. A few months later, I heard that Beckett had gone bankrupt. Honestly, it didn't surprise me. Once his family's business was cut off from my family's financial support, it was inevitable they wouldn't survive. The only sensible move was to minimize losses. What I hadn't expected was that Beckett would manage to hang on for this long. He got entangled in a financial lawsuit and racked up an enormous debt, one that he couldn't possibly repay. As a result, he was taken to court, and their company's headquarters was listed for auction. I had already paused all my work to focus on my pregnancy and to prevent complications like I'd had in my past life. Every day, I rested at home, eagerly awaiting Eliza's birth. At the same time, I had my assistant keep an eye on the auction. Finally, I managed to acquire their company's headquarters building. When I arrived at the building, I saw Beckett being escorted away by the police. Claire, you're here to save me, right? Beckett asked as he was about to be taken into the police car. I took off my sunglasses and glanced at him. Miss Claire, this way please, said the person beside me, politely inviting me in. I cast a sideways glance at Beckett and smiled. I'm the legal owner of the company now. It's got nothing to do with you anymore. Beckett's expression changed drastically, his gaze turning dark and filled with resentment. You'd rather use your money to buy this than help me? Claire, do you hate me that much? Hate? Of course I hate you. Letting you rot in jail is a kindness. I wish you were dead. If it weren't for the law, I'd have had someone take care of Beckett long ago. This way, my precious Eliza wouldn't have a scum of a father, and no one would ever bully her. Beckett went to prison over his financial disputes, and I went on to start my own company. Not only that, but I was even nominated for Best Actress. That night, we were at a film crew gathering, and Luna was sitting right beside me. When I won Best Actress, I caught a fleeting look of jealousy in her eyes. Though she tried hard to hide it, I noticed. Claire, congratulations. You've got it all, success in your career and a baby on the way. I smiled and whispered, thank you. But what about your child? Luna had lost her baby. Damien refused to take responsibility, and her agency wasn't about to let her have the child easily. In the end, Luna had no choice but to give it up. Upon hearing my words, the smile on her face vanished instantly. I walked up to the stage and held my trophy high. This has been my dream. It used to feel like a regret, but now it feels complete. I'm grateful to be here, to exist in this world. Life is no fleeting dream, just being here is beautiful. This trophy was something Eliza witnessed alongside me, and she'll be with me for the rest of my life. On the day I gave birth, I was both excited and anxious. Thanks to my precautions, I avoided the postpartum complications I'd suffered in my past life. I gave birth to Eliza smoothly. She was so adorable, just like she had been in the past. Eliza turned out to be incredibly smart. She learned to talk before she was even 1 year old. When she called me mommy for the first time, my heart raced with excitement and joy beyond words. Tears streamed down my face uncontrollably. No one could understand the happiness of regaining what was once lost. I showered Eliza with all my love, cherishing her as the apple of my eye. She became the darling of the company and my most important family member. But while I was filled with joy, others weren't so lucky. The same year I gave birth to Eliza, Luna offended a big shot in the entertainment industry. Her acting was never great to begin with, and it was rumored that at an event, she tried to adjust her seating arrangements, which offended the wrong people. After that, she was blacklisted and never appeared at any more events or on screen again. She was forgotten by the fast-moving industry, as if she had never existed. As the seasons passed, Eliza's 7th birthday soon arrived. I threw her a grand party at the most luxurious 5-star hotel in the city. There, my little girl stood in front of her 7-tier cake, closing her eyes as she blew out the candles. A sweet smile appeared on her face, dimples forming on her cheeks. She was utterly adorable. Mommy is not just my mommy, she's also my daddy. She's the person I love the most in the world, she said softly. Since she could remember, Eliza had never asked about her father. I gave her enough love that just having me was enough. As the candlelight flickered on her cute little face, tears welled up in her eyes as she choked out, "I want to be with Mommy forever." My heart overflowed with emotion, and I held her tightly. "Eliza, would you like Mommy to sing for you?" I asked. Eliza kissed my cheek and nodded with a bright smile. Holding the microphone, I stood on the stage at the banquet, giving her a special birthday gift, a performance of 7 sweet, innocent children's songs. The notes filled the air, carrying all my love and blessings for her. And in my heart, I silently prayed. May my Eliza live a life full of peace, joy, and happiness, free from any worry or pain. End.